Colby Covington has main evented before, and he's main eventing again. That's right. When they have an event, put him on top. But this is going to be something different. There's something new. Real American Freestyle Wrestling, RAF, started last year. They're coming to South Florida for the first time. Saturday, January 10th, Amerant Bank Arena. You know the place in Sunrise, home of the two-time NHL Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers. And you got to have a champion on the card. That's why you have Colby Covington. And he has the wrestling background, which is really cool. All-American, state high school champion, just so much his credentials. We know about his cardio. We know about his toughness. And I'm going to tell you this. I really want to get into this about him getting involved with RAF, Real American Freestyle. Thank you so much, Colby. You're headlining against Luke Rockhold. Many matches on the card. This is going to be really cool. Tell me first your involvement. How did you get involved with Real American Freestyle Wrestling?
So I got involved with Real American Freestyle Wrestling because I had first heard about and caught wind of the league from Hulk Hogan, you know, when he was in my corner for my last fight. And he told me they were starting a league and, you know, they wanted to make this big. They wanted to make this platform for amateur wrestlers and Olympic wrestlers that have this opportunity to be able to go financially make a good living for themselves doing what they love and what they've been doing their whole life, which is Real American Wrestling. So that's when I first got wind of it, through him and Chad Bronstein, the great Chad Bronstein. And, you know, and then I was able to link up with Izzy Martinez and Eric Bischoff. And they just been doing an incredible, phenomenal job with Real American Wrestling. So I'm super excited to get back to my roots. You know, this is the roots. This is where I came from. Wrestling is my passion. It's my first love. It's what I've wanted to do since I was a little kid coming out of my mom's womb. So I'm super excited to main event this weekend at Amerant Bank Arena, home of the two-time defending back-to-back champion Florida Panthers. So it's going to be an exciting night, you know, and everybody knows when they put my name on the marquee, they can expect a show. So I'm bringing a good show to Real American Wrestling 5.
Win, lose, or draw, and mostly win, he always does put on a good show, and he gets you amped up to want to see the fights. This is going to be a little different, though, with the MMA. So what I'm wondering, too, Colby, so training for this, getting back, because obviously you're doing wrestling training for MMA fights, but obviously for this is more emphasis now. You're just training wrestling. It's all freestyle wrestling. How's that going for you? How does that work for you in this training session?
Yeah, it's been going incredibly. You know, I have great workout partners. I have a buddy of mine who wrestled at Iowa State, and he wrestled with me at Iowa Central, a guy named Philip Hawes. So he's a great wrestler. You know, I got my coaches, Michael, I got my coach, Charlie Weiss and John Hartnett. They've been training me up. So, you know, it's just getting back to what I've been doing my whole life. You know, I was a multiple-time Fargo All-American in high school, you know, national champion wrestler in college at the freestyle level. So, you know, I love to do this. This is my first passion. You know, it's like muscle memory. It's like riding a bike again. You just get on the bike and you just remember how to do it. So that's exactly what it's been like for freestyle wrestling. And I can't wait to come put on a good performance this weekend and move closer to being the best wrestler in the world again.
It's interesting, too, because this started off last year, and the big names behind it, you mentioned everyone behind it, but Hulk Hogan, the late, great Hulk Hogan, who was in your corner, as you mentioned, too, which is awesome. And I know you're a pro wrestling fan, and Eric Bischoff. When Hulk told you about it, though, did you hear a little bit about it even before that? Because I'm wondering if you thought, like, oh, they're doing Hogan and Bischoff are doing this. Oh, is this pro wrestling style? Because they came out right away and said, look, this is unscripted. This is real freestyle wrestling. But did you know that going into this, or until Hulk told you about it, that it was unscripted, this is what it's going to be?
Yeah, I had heard the rumblings, you know, obviously, you know, Hulk told me about it, and, you know, and then I heard the rumblings that Eric and Chad and Izzy Martinez, what they were doing and how they wanted to create this great platform for, you know, for freestyle Olympic wrestlers and guys that come from a wrestling background that have this great platform, this great opportunity to, you know, create a great financial opportunity for themselves. So, you know, I'd heard the rumblings that it was going to be real, but they were going to put a little flair on it. You know, Eric Bischoff, everybody knows he's the king of, you know, promotion. He's the king of entrances and the grand scheme of things. So, you know, they're putting something special together at Real American Freestyle. And I'm just so thankful to be a part of it. I'm so thankful to Chad, to Izzy, to Eric, and the late, great Hulk for giving me this great opportunity. I promise I'm not going to disappoint. And, you know, I'm going to put on a great spectacle for the fans this Saturday night.
This is in your wheelhouse. This is amazing with your background, but also that's the key. Hulk and Eric wanted to put personality, wanted to show characters in as far as the people, the wrestlers that are involved. And who better than you? What can you say about that? The personality aspect of it and the character and the mic talk and things like that.
Yeah, you know, the personality and the mic talk, the promotion and being able to shoot a promo, that's what's going to take this league to the next level. You know, like these guys, there's some masterminds behind Real American Freestyle with Eric Bischoff, you know, Izzy Martinez and Chad Bronstein. So, you know, to really make wrestling a mainstream sport, we need to get guys that aren't going to be afraid to shoot their shot. They're not afraid to talk the talk and walk the walk. So this weekend, I'm going to lead the way. I'm going to show these guys how it's done, how you talk the talk and you walk the walk. And when I do that, that's what's going to bring wrestling to the mainstream. And we're going to be competing with the UFC. We're going to be competing with the mainstream sports like NFL and NBA. So that's just what wrestling's lacked and it's missed, you know, is having that flair, that personality, that charisma that pro wrestlers bring to the table. So luckily we're led by, you know, some great talented guys that come from the pro wrestling world, and they're going to kind of get in some of the minds of these wrestlers and let these guys know that it's more than wrestling. You can't just go out there and get your hand raised, because that's not entertaining. That's not what fans want to see. They want to see you talking, and they want to see you bringing a show. So, you know, they pay their hard-earned money to watch us, so we need to give them a good, entertaining show.
Kurt Angle is involved. He's part of the broadcast team, the Olympic gold medalist wrestler, and also WWE Hall of Famer. And I'm curious, have you talked to Kurt yet? And what are your thoughts too? I mean, that just lends to what you just said, but him being involved in all this.
No, I haven't had a chance to talk to him. I know we'll get a chance to talk this weekend. You know, I'm super thankful to Kurt Angle for letting me use his walkout music in the early parts of my UFC career. You know, it gave me a lot of motivation to walk out to an arena to the metal song and all the fans screaming, "You suck, you suck." So, you know, that hyped me up, you know, so I'm always forever grateful to the Olympic champion who won it, not just Olympic title. He won the Olympic title with a broken freaking neck. I mean, that's just incredible. So can't wait to see Kurt Angle this weekend and chop it up with him and, you know, just put on a good show for him. And I know another good friend of mine, Chael Sonnen, will be in the booth announcing. So another great guy who has a lot of charisma, who knows how to draw, knows how to sell tickets. So, you know, what they're doing with this league is just incredible. It's phenomenal. They're really making wrestling mainstream, and they're giving these guys a great opportunity.
Yeah, with that opportunity too, Colby, you've had opportunity with MMA. Do you think this could have worked 10 years ago?
I do. I do think this would have worked 10 years ago, because you see how big pro wrestling has become and the need for it. And then people just want it. They want that entertainment in their lives. They want something to distract them from what's going on in their life. So, you know, that's what pro wrestling has been so, you know, monumental to so many fans across the globe, is entertaining and making people think that something is larger than life. So this league, Real American Freestyle, that's what they're doing. They're getting, you know, all the antics, all the great promotion that the WWE has, and they're instilling it into, you know, unscripted Real American wrestling. So, you know, as long as these guys are able to follow, you know, the great Eric Bischoff, the great Hulkamania, and learn from, you know, all these great wrestlers that have come before us in WWE, then I think Real American Freestyle is going to blow up into a mainstream sport in no time.
Now, Colby, are you still training at MMA Masters in Miami?
No, I'm not. I'm at Colby Covington Incorporated now. I'm just doing my own thing with my own gym. People that have time for me, and you know, I got great coaches around me. I train at all the UFC gyms in the area. That it's best for me. I bring all my coaches to me, and you know, we just centered and focused on Colby Covington and the business that we have to take care of at Colby Covington Incorporated.
MMA, what are your plans there? Because you could do a bunch of things. You could, even bare knuckle fighting is starting to, it's been taken off. There's just so many things out there, combat sport wise, to try to make some money. Boxing, even. Are these other things that you're interested? Are you still doing MMA, and are you interested in doing other things as well?
Yeah, definitely. I'm still, a UFC fighter, still ranked in the top, 15 in the world. So, you can never take away my accolades being a UFC champion and being the first fighter to ever be invited to the White House, by a sitting president. So, I've made so much history in the UFC. Now I want to make history in the wrestling world. I want to make history for Real American Freestyle. So, I want to get a couple matches with the Real American freestyle organization, and that's my only focus right now is just getting these couple matches in Real American Freestyle, getting the world title in American Freestyle, and then I'll see what's next. I know the UFC, I think they have plans for me to fight at the White House, so I'll use this opportunity to build some momentum, to get that cardio and get this combat sports underneath my belt, and then we'll get back to the UFC after I'm done with Real American Freestyle.
Colby, you mentioned the White House. What was it like for you when you heard that they were really going to do something like this for the big celebration of America? What were your thoughts at that time?
Yeah, it was incredible. I feel like, I'm the first guy to really bring politics into sport, and I'm the first one to really get Donald Trump to start paying attention to the UFC because he had a fighter that was advocating for him, a guy that was out there in the media, not afraid to take the route, that not a lot of people want to take. At the time, it was easy for people to bash on Trump and say he's, a bigot or he's a racist or he's this or he's that. But no, he's just a down-to-earth, funny guy, and he just cares about America. America first has always been his policy. So, it's an honor to bring the UFC to the White House. I feel like I'm the one that kind of paved the way for that. So, it's going to be an exciting night, and I can't wait to be a part of it.
Always bringing it, always making it exciting is Colby Covington. Hey, Colby, thank you for your time. I'm going to end it with this. I don't want to, I guess I want to peel back the curtain too much, so I don't want you to give too much away. But might there be an NWO something coming up on January 10th, Saturday at Amerant Bank Arena? Maybe some entrance music, some NWO. I don't know, Colby.
Yeah, the thing about chaos, my nickname is it's unpredictable. You never know what you're going to get when chaos steps in the stadium. So, I got some great things planned for Real American Freestyle. Super thankful to Chad Bronstein, to Izzy Martinez, to Eric Bischoff, to the late, great Hulkamania, who really started it all for us. A guy I've been inspired by my whole entire life and who's driven me to great heights. So, I'm going to put on a good show for them. That's what they deserve and that's what they want. And that's what they're going to get. So make sure you tune in on Fox News Nation this Saturday, January 10th. It's going to be a spectacle only at Amerant Bank Arena.
And you never know, you might see Colby in a pro wrestling ring too.
You never know what you're going to get. You might see me in a pro wrestling ring sooner than later.
Thank you, Colby. Thank you, Chaos.
I appreciate it, my brother. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate Miami Herald. The King of Miami is coming to put on a show.